The grand wedding hall was filled with people, but all Jungkook could think about was how much he hated this whole situation. At the altar he wore an expression as cold as ice, his sharp features set in a frown. He was dressed impeccably in a black texture, every detail perfectly in place. Yet there was no joy in his eyes. This marriage was nothing more than a business deal, a strategical move to solidify his power and secure his position as the most feared mafia leader. The sound of soft giggles pulled him out of the thoughts. He looked up to see his bride, Ryan, making her way down the aisle. She was dressed in a beautiful white gown, her hair adorned with delicate flowers, but it was not her appearance that catch his attention. It was the way she moved. She was almost keeping her steps light and carefree. And when she nearly tripped over her own feet, he burst into laughter, slightly opposely to the seriousness of the occasions. Jungkook's frown dependent. This was the woman he was poised to marry, a girl who could not even walk down the aisles without causing a scene. Wine finally reached him, still smiling, writing as he took her place beside him. She glanced up to him, her eyes sparkling with excitement as if they had not already been introduced. Jungkook barely spotted her. A glance, his eyes focused straight ahead. Just get this over with, he muttered under his breath, too low for anyone else to hear. The ceremony persisted, and soon enough they were pronounced husband and wife. Jungkook felt no happiness, no excitement, just the weight of the obligation. Later that evening, they arrived at Jungkook's massive mansion. Wine was in ebb as he looked around at the grand palace, the intricate decor, and the luxurious furniture. It was like something out of a fairy tale, but Jungkook's Chan expression quickly pulled her back to reality. He led her to the bedroom, his footsteps echoing the silence. The room was spacious and elegant, with a large bed in the center, but the atmosphere felt cold, just like Jungkook. As soon as they entered, Jungkook walked over to the wardrobe and began unbuttoning his shirt, not sparing Ryan a single glance. Ryan, trying to break the ice, clapped her hands together excitedly. Wow, this room is hugged. It's like a place, she exclaimed, her eyes wide with wonder. Jungkook did not respond. He continued to undress, his expression unreadable. Ryan reflected vacantly unsure to how to engage with him. After a moment, she decided to try again. Do you want to play a game? She asked hesitantly, hoping to lighten the mood. Jungkook finally turned to look at her, his gaze cold and unfeeling. This is not a playground, Ryan, he said curtly. Don't you have time for childish game? Ryan smiled, flattered, but she quickly recovered. Ryan's smile. Oh, okay, maybe tomorrow then, she said cheerfully, trying to hide her disappointment. Jungkook signed clearly, uninterested. Just go to bed, he said flatly before turning away and heading into the bathroom. Ryan watched him go, her heart sinking slightly. She had hoped that maybe, just maybe, she could make him smile, but it was clear that he was not interested. In her attempts to be friendly, still, she was not one to give up easily. With a determined note, she climbed into bed, decided that she would keep trying until she succeeded. The next few days were a strange mix of cold indifference. From Jungkook and President, cheerfulness from Ryan. Jungkook spent most of his time in his study or out of business, leaving Ryan to explore the mansion on her own. She quickly filled the house with his pressure, adding colorful tricking and stuffed animals to the otherwise monochrome decor. Oh, Jay, she decided to surprise Jungkook by cooking dinner. She had never been much of a cook. But she figured it could not be that hard. She spent the entire afternoon in the kitchen, following recipes and humming to herself. By the time Jungkook returned home, the kitchen was a disaster zone. Pots and pans were strewn everywhere, floor destroyed their constraint, and there was a faint smell of something burning. Jungkook walked in, his expression darkened as he took in the scene. "What the hell happened here?" he demanded. Her voice called. When I looked up from the stove, her face stamped with flour. "I was trying to cook dinner for us," she said brightly, ignoring the stone. "I wanted to surprise you." Jungkook's eyes narrowed as they stepped closer, eyeing the burnt mess on the stove. "This is a surprise, all right," he muttered, more to himself than to her. One smile flattened slightly as she realized how badly she had messed up. I'm so sorry, I did not mean to ruin it," she said, her voice small. Jungkook let out a frustrated sigh and ran a hand through his hair. "Just leave the cooking to the chef, okay? You are a career not cut out for it." Wine bit her lip, feeling to pang to of her of his word, but she quickly pushed it aside and forced a smile. "Okay, I will do better next time." Jungkook did not respond. He turned and left the kitchen, leaving Wine standing there alone, feeling more like a burden than a wife. Despite her rockstar, Wine did not let Jungkook's coolness discourage her. She continued to fill the mansion with her playful energy, leaving cute notes in his study, preparing his meals with smiley faces made from food, and even setting up a litter play or for a pet cat she hoped to convince Chase to get. But Jungkook remained distant, his cold exterior extremely impenetrable. He could not understand why one was so determined to be cheerful and glitchy, especially when it was clear that he was not interested in engaging with her. One evening, Jungkook returned home earlier than usual, excited from a particularly stressed day. As he walked through the mansion, he noticed the distinct smell of something burning. His blood flushed as he made his way to the kitchen, expecting the roast. When he entered, he found Van sitting on the floor, tears streaming down her face. The stove was off, but the butter remains of what looked like dinner was still in the pan. Van was clutching a spatula, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. For a moment, Jungkook did not know what to do. He had never seen Van cry before. She was always so full of energy, always smiling, always trying to make the best of things. Seeing her like this, it changed some time to him when he sat softly approaching her. When I looked up, staring, she quickly wiped her tears and tried to smile, but it was Phoebe to best. I'm sorry, Jungkook. I tried to make dinner again, but I ruined it. I just wanted to do something nice for you." Jungkook felt a pang of guilt as he looked to her tear-streaming face. He had been so cold to her, so dismissive, and yet she kept trying to make him happy. She kept trying to bring warmth into his life, even when he pushed her away. "It's just food, man. It does not matter." Jungkook said, his voice uncharacteristic, gentle. Fan slipped and looked on at the burnt food. "But I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to make you smile," she whispered. Jungkook felt his heart clench. He crouched down beside her and reached out, hesitantly placing a hand on her shoulder. You don't have to try so hard, he said quietly. I don't need you to be perfect. Ryan looked up to him, her eyes wide with surprise. Really? Jungkook nodded. Really, for a moment, they just looked at each other. The tension between them slowly dissolving. Jungkook felt something shift inside him. A crack forming in the wall he had bullied around his heart. He did not fully understand it yet, but he knew that violent tears had shaken him in a way nothing else had. After that night, Jungkook started to change, even if only slightly. He began to notice the little things Violet did for him, the cute notes she left in his study, the way she always tried to make him laugh. The small gestures to kindness she showed him despite his cold demeanor. One afternoon, Jungkook came home to find Van in the garden. She was chasing butterflies, her laughter echoing through the air. Jungkook watched her from a distance, a small smile tugging at the lips. She was so full of life, so carefree, and it was entering. He found himself spending more time at home, true and warmth and positivity. He even surprised her one day by bringing home the pet cat she had been hinting at. The look of pure joy on her face when she saw the furry kitten was priceless. When eyes lit up as she ran over to Jungkook, hugging him tightly before scooping up the kitten. Thank you, he scratched, twiddling around with the kitten in her arms. I will name him Muchi. Jacob chucked softly, a sound that even surprised him. Much oh, it shocked him. One nodded in haste, actually holding the kitchen close. You are the best, Jungkook. For a moment, Jungkook felt an unfamiliar warmth spread through his chest. He was not used to being called the best, especially not by someone who genuinely meant it. He had always been fear respected but never loved, not in the way Ryan was starting to show him. As day passed, Jungkook found himself growing more attached to Van. He still maintained his core interior in front of others, but when they were alone, he allowed himself to relax, to enjoy her company. When Wesley fought to the danger that came with being married to a mafia boss, continued her playful antics, dragging Jungkook into games, convincing him to watch silly movies with her, and insisting and having breakfast together every morning. One day, after a particularly rough night dealing with his rivals, Jungkook came home to find Van sitting on the living room floor. Surrounded by crayons and coloring books, she looked up as he entered, her face brightening. "You're back," she climbed, putting the spot next to her. "Come color with me." Jungkook raised on an eyebrow. "Color?" "Oh, I know it, actually. Yeah, it's relaxing. You are being working so hard. You deserve a break." Jungkook hesitated for a moment before singing and sitting down beside her. He picked up a crown and began to color, feeling slightly at ease. As they colored in silence, one light humming filled the room, a peaceful contrast to the chess he was used to. He glanced over at her, watching as she focused on her tongue poking out slightly in contraction. There was something about her innocence, her unwavering positivity that made him want to protect her, to keep her safe from the darkness of the world. When he said quickly, breaking the silence, he looked up smiling. Yes, why did you try too hard? He asked, genuinely curious. I will be nothing but cold to you, and yet you keep being like this. Why titled her head considered his question. Because I care about you, she said simply. I know you are tough and all, but I see the good in you, Jungkook, and I want you to happy. Her words hit him harder than he accepted. He started to at her, wondering how someone could be so selfish, superior-hearted. He has spent years building a wall, hiding his emotion, but one was slowly teaching them on bit by bit. I don't deserve your kindness, he murmured, almost to himself, and shook her head. Everyone deserves kindness, even you, Mr. Mafia Boss. Junko could not help but chuckles at that. You are something else you know that Ryan grinned. I will take that as a compliment. Junko smiled, a genius smile, and for the first time in a long time he felt at peace. As the weeks turned into months, Jungkook's feelings for Ryan grew stronger. He found himself wanting to spend more time with her. Wanting to make her smile, wanting to protect her from the harsh realities of the world. One evening, after a particularly long day, Jungkook came home to find Ryan in the kitchen. But Penning didn't. She had insisted on cooking dips. Despite her previous gestures, she determined to get it right. This time the meal was perfect. Jungkook was immediately surprised as he tasted the food. His cold face cracking as he smiled at her. This is really good, Ryan. Wine became her cheeks flushing with pride. I'm glad you like it. I told you I had get better, Jungkook concluded, taking another bite. You did well. They ate in comfortable silence, the air between them warm and filled with unspoken words. After dinner, they moved to the living room while Mermaning just watching a movie together. Halfway through the movie, Jungkook glanced at Ryan, who was curled up beside him on the couch. Her head rested on his shoulder, her breathing soft and even. She had fallen asleep, her smile frame tucked into his side. Jungkook watched her sleep, his heart swelling with an emotion he had not felt in years. He had tried to fight it, tried to keep his distance, but Ryan had rammed her way into his heart. He could not deny it any longer. He was in love with her. Carefully, so as not to work her, Jungkook brushed a strand of hair from her face. She sighed slightly but did not wake. Jungkook leaned on, pressing a soft kiss to her forehead. I love you, Anne, he whispered, his voice barely audible in the quiet room. The next morning, Jungkook woke up to find Wine already up, blustering around the kitchen. She greeted him with her usual bright smile. But there was something different in the case as he watched her. Good morning, she typed, placing a plate of pancakes in front of him. I made breakfast. Jungkook sat down at the table, his eyes never leaving her, as she sat across from him, happily digging into her own pancakes. Jungkook reached across the table and took her heart, surprising her when he began his voice seriously. I want you to know something. I looked at him, her eyes wide and gracious. What is it? Jungkook took a deep breath. I have been called to you, and I know I have not been the best husband. But I want to change that. You have shown me what it means to care for someone, and I have realized that I love you. When I whined in surprise, her forgetting to repeat, you love me. Jungkook nodded, his expression softening. I do. I love you, and I never thought I could feel this way, but you have changed me. I want to be better. For a moment, Van just charging at him, her mouth slightly open, his shock. Then slowly a regiment smile spread across her face. I love you too, Jungkook. She, exci- she exclaimed, particularly jumping out to her seat to hug him. Jungkook just wrapping his arms around her. I know, he murmured, holding her close. From that day on, their relationship blossomed. Jungkook became more attentive, more caring, and Mayan continued to bring light and laughter into his life. They found a place between his cold exterior and her playful nature, creating a life filled with love and happiness. Jungkook's man was shocked to see the change in their boss, who was once feared to his ruthless demeanor. Now he was a man who smiled more often, who took time off to be with his wife, who seemed genuinely happy. And as for Ryan, she could not have been happier. She had fallen in love with her heartless mafia, and in return, he had given her his heart. Years later, Jungkook and Ryan stood in the garden of their mansion, watching their children play, two little boys and a girl, all with their mother's playful spirit and their father instant gaze. Ryan leaned against Jungkook, smiled as he watched their children chase butterflies just as he had done when they first got married. They are so full of energy, Ryan said. Jungkook nodded, wrapped one arm around her shoulder. They take after their mother. Ryan looked up at him, her eyes shining with love, and they have their father's strength. Jungkook smiled on at her, pressing a kiss to her forehead. I'm glad they have both. As they watched their children play, Jungkook could not help but feel a deep sense of contentment. He had found happiness in the most unaccepted place, in the heart of a childish girl who had melted the ice around the heart. And he knew that no matter what challenges come their way, they would face them together with love and together. Love and laughter. In fact, this is not an end, this is a start of a happy life.